And we are live. Welcome to the Winner's Circle, a podcast covering Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, and other combat sports. I am one of your hosts, Eugene Plowden, and with me, as always, one of my podcast partners, Isaiah Gathings. What's up, man?
What's up? How are you?
I'm all right. If this is your first time with us, I want you to know we are members of the Martial Arts Center Network. And on Mondays, you got the Winner's Circle with myself, Isaiah, and Chris Walker, and Angel Diaz. On Tuesdays, you can get the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. Wednesdays, the traditional way with Brett Shumway. Thursdays is Fists, Kicks, and Flicks with myself, Joe Hartley, and Angel Diaz. For more information, you can check us out on all of our social media platforms. Just look for the Martial Arts Center Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, and the Martial Arts Center Network app, the main app. Zeke, it's showtime. What's up, man?
Hey, nothing much, man. Just jet lag is real, man. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it to be so, but I'm trying to get back acclimated. It's been kicking my butt all week, man. But
when did you get back?
I got back on. I left Monday, so yeah, it was Monday night. I got back Monday night. Traveled the whole day.
And you're back in Vegas, right?
Yep, in Vegas.
How many planes did you catch?
It was. Let me see. Was it two there? I think two there. A subway. And a train. So I literally the first day I was traveling and an Uber. No, I was able to walk from the train station. It was across the street. So no Uber to get to the hotel. Lots of Ubers while I were down there though. But no, I literally traveled for a day and a half straight and even slept in the train in the airport. The going and then coming back, it was just a couple trains, a subway, and a couple planes, and then I was back. Traveled through like 3 or 4 time zones. So yep.
Man,
it was something nice.
I've never been to England. I've never been to Europe, and quite honestly, I don't have any. I don't have any feelings about going over there. Like that's not something that I'm really interested in doing. I don't like planes. I get on planes, when I gotta go somewhere, but I don't like it. And what was that? A 7 or 8 hour flight?
Yeah, the first one surprisingly, I flew into JFK, so that was 5.5 hours from here to New York, JFK, New York, and then it was another 7 hours, 6.5, 7 hours to get from New York to London, and then from there, like I said, a subway. And then to a train station, and then on the train, it was 2 hours on the train to get to Hull. So yeah, and then like I said, by the time I landed, the trains had stopped for the evening. So I landed like 9 p.m. The train stopped. Of course, that's my luck, like 8. So I had to sleep in the airport until the train started running again the next day, so that I can get on the subway to get to the train station to get on the train. Man. So I was in there for like 9 hours sleeping.
Yeah, man. You're a lot better than me, man. And you said that you were traveling by yourself.
By myself. First time I've traveled internationally alone. So,
nobody watching your back or nothing.
Nothing. No, I didn't even sleep in the airport because I was afraid. I'm like, if I leave my stuff, and I go to sleep, I ain't got nobody looking out for me. So I sat up the whole night. Just binge watching like Fallout, or like just like whatever, just so I can stay awake. So yeah, it was interesting to say the least, but good experience, something I have under my belt. So I just know what to expect moving forward.
Did you ever do any of the WKC events with my uncle or anything like that, or any of the international tournaments? Or
so for the very first year that we did it, I was a part of the team. When we had it in Ireland, that was back in like 2009, I think 2008, 2009. I was a part of that team, and I was supposed to fight. I qualified. My son qualified, and a couple of my students, one or two of my students, and but I ended up getting my nose broken in a seminar that your uncle was hosting. I got my nose broken in it, and I was pissed. And I ended up putting a face shield on. I was like, I'm gonna still fight, but when you get over there, they ain't for that punk stuff over there. They're like, nah, we don't allow face shields.
Wow.
So I couldn't wear the face shield. So I was trained, I was ready to go, but my nose was freshly broken, so I ended up not fighting. I just kind of coached my students. And
So-
then after that, that was the only international experience as far as traveling like that I had. So this was something different. And then even at that point in time, you know, I was with my family at the time, took them, you know, and a couple of my students. So this was definitely different.
So were you guys doing drills, or were you guys just like sparring when you got your
drills? It was just drills with some with some wild folks, man. You know what I mean? You know how it is. You had those people they don't I don't know, how can I say, they don't fit into the parameters of the rules. Like there's unspoken rules and understanding that you have when you have experience. And that's the reason why, as an instructor, you can even attest to the fact that any times that you got hurt, your professor can tell you this in jiu-jitsu, which, by the way, congratulations on 4 stripes on that white belt.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. But your professor will tell you any time that they've got hurt or they potentially may get hurt, it's always from like a beginner. It's somebody that's unpolished, somebody that has more strength, you know, than technique. And those are typically the individuals that wind up hurting you. This was a person that they were not really sport karate people. They were trying to get into it. That wasn't their forte. So when I'm working drills and I'm going back and forth and we're doing something, we're like a blitzing drill or something like that, and the dude just like just stepped back, like jumped back and like just, it was, we were doing like light sparring when 2 jumped back and like reverse punch, a vertical punch to the nose. And it was like we was just going half speed, moving around, throw a couple fakes, work the back fist blitz, and then they supposed to counter. Dude just jumped up, was like, wham. Just like, I'm like, you got to be kidding me,
man.
You know. So yeah, it was one of them type of things, you know.
Was he a black belt?
I don't know, because their system didn't really revolve around a belt ranking system like that, like a traditional one.
Okay.
I think that he was the equivalent of one.
Okay.
But it was one of the things where he didn't mean nothing by it. It's just that there's this unspoken rule when you move around with people, when you have experience, you feel comfortable. You don't feel like you have nothing to prove. You don't feel like you're threatened. It's like just move around. Like it's a seminar. Like how this type of stuff isn't supposed to be happening. And see, stuff like that makes me upset, because I don't think that people mean it. But then I've learned over the years from getting black eyes, from working with people that's supposed to have been, we're just working together, broken noses. I gotta, even if I'm lowering my speed, I still have to make sure from a defensive perspective that I'm still sharp offensively, so that way I can be sharp defensively at the same time, if that makes sense. You know, so yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I remember, no, it was a freak accident.
I remember it's one group of people I don't enjoy sparring with as a black belt, and even judging, is the adult underbelt advanced division. Adult men that are like red belts, brown belts, because it's almost like I feel like they're trying to prove themselves like they're black belts, but black belts don't fight the way that they fight. They're a little bit too aggressive as they're fighting, and it's almost more so like light kickboxing, like a light kickboxing match. You know, even though they're throwing some heavy shots. Like I'd rather spar with a gold belt or a purple belt adult, because they're still trying to learn. They're still trying to, you know, grasp what it is that we're doing. But you know, the adult advanced division, goodness gracious, they be throwing some bombs. As a judge, sometimes I'll be like, we want to say like, yo, y'all got to work tomorrow, you know, or Monday, right. Like y'all not walking out of here with $10,000 or $20,000 purse, you know. It's this.
I don't. They know it. They know enough to be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just like, and it's like, you're not getting your black belt today. Like your performance today is not going to dictate whether I'm not going to produce a black belt out of my bag and be like, you know what? Based on your stellar performance, I think that you deserve this. Like, no, stop, man. Just relax. You got 3 whole kids at home that got to wake up and go to school tomorrow. You got a job tomorrow. Like, please, just don't do this. You know. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So, man, that's cool, man. That's cool, man. Hey, you got to hang out with one of our co-hosts, Angel Diaz. That's the first time you guys ran into each other, right?
Yeah, man. First time that we actually met in person. You know, Angel, if you watching, shout out to you right now, man. You know, it was a pleasure. Man, just a good spirited energy, young brother. From just the jump, like I loved everything about him, you know, and definitely did so from our you know time together on the podcast. But you know, with social media and just the way that the world is now, you can feel like you know somebody and never have met them before. Just never have met them, never been in the same room or whatever, never shook their hand. Through you know channels like these. But when you meet somebody, that's when you get an opportunity to really be able to see beyond what it is, the discussions that we have, the group texts and stuff like that we have. I was able to just actually really meet him, shake his hand, interact with him, and he's just a humble brother, man. Just you can tell he loves the martial arts, loves to learn. Oh, yeah. So coachable, man, and you can walk up to him and tell him anything, you know, and just knowledgeable too. Like even when he wasn't listening, which was all the time, he was just like, you know, soaking everything in. You know, when he was speaking, I was able to listen to his perspective about things, and just a very knowledgeable brother too.
Yeah, so. Angel and I got to hang out with each other in Chicago back in January, so we were at the AKA, man.
Okay.
And I believe Avery was fighting, and after Avery got done fighting, you know, he stood up, and I said something to him like this. And this is the first time me and Angel were face to face, even though we've been podcast partners for 4 years. This is the first time we had been together, right? So I gotta ask you something before I tell the rest of the story. Did he have his waves popping?
Oh man, it was popping, man. It was banging. Okay. He was ready. He was ready. He had the waves going, man. He was ready. Had his little do-rag on so he can keep them fresh. Like I'm saving these for these European brothers. I'm about to pop out tomorrow with these joints.
That's what I told him. As soon as I seen him for the first time, the first thing that came out of my mouth was like, man, it looked like a cat licked your head. Like his waves, man. His waves were pristine, man. They were perfect.
They were.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, nobody beating him in that battle. I was just like, look, I'm gonna just shave and go ball. I ain't even about to try. I'm gonna let me clean this up top because ain't nobody beating him out here.
Yeah,
they ain't beating them on the floor. They ain't beating them off the floor with the waves. It's not happening, bro.
Yeah.
They ain't losing at all. Ain't taking no L's.
Yeah, we had a good time too. And then Angel, like Zeke, still me and you, we've only really been working together on a professional level, like doing the podcast together and in class. You see me at my uncle's school, so me and you never really hung up. So you really don't know like the other side of me, right?
Right.
Like you might have heard stories, especially if you talk to Ski. You probably heard some wild stories about me. But anyway. One of the things, me and Angel, we were getting ready to do an interview, and I showed him this contest. I'll tell you, I'm not gonna say it while we live or recording this podcast, you know. But I showed him a contest that was going on here in Detroit, and I showed it to him on my phone, and he lost his stuff, man. He couldn't talk, he couldn't say anything. He just put his head down and laughed.
I think I have an idea of what type of contest this may be.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely got to peep that.
Yeah, one day I know Trav wants to get the whole main gang together. Hopefully one day at one of these. Yeah, Mike. I put this up there. Mike knows. Mike's hung out with me.
Hey, Mike crazy. I done hung out with Mike.
Yeah.
Mike crazy. He's something else.
Yeah.
Love Mike, man.
We're supposed to see if this was 30 years ago, me and him were supposed to be tag team partners. So we're supposed to be like the new Dudleys, me and Mike. We always talked about
the
that.
Tables.
Yeah, that's right. Man, yeah, man. So I had a good week also, man. It was my birthday last week, man. So I got a year older. Just hanging out, man. My wife, she came up to the school, man. You know, I'm not someone that is taking Mike said we'll be rich.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who will, you know, take time off for my birthday. Like to me, my birthday just is any other day. It's, you know, I'm happy I get to, you know, live another year. But still, man, like I'm not somebody that's about to take off time. I still went to work. I still did my classes, and my wife was in a celebratory mood. So what she wanted to do, so she came up to the academy. She decorated the school, you know, and she brought cupcakes for the kids, you know.
Nice.
So she had balloons up and streamers and stuff like this. So the kids got to know it was my birthday. So, and I left the stuff up. So my birthday was Wednesday. So we left the stuff up for the Thursday kids also, and make sure they all got cupcakes also. So the kids enjoyed themselves. They had a good time. Work was cool. And then also, like you said, man, I got my 4th stripe. Man, that's going to lead into our first topic. It was 2 years. I've been at, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu for 2 years. Now, this is the longest amount of time that I've been at an academy. I told you I started with Tyrone at Macomb Martial Arts. I don't know if it's the same Macomb Martial Arts that's going now. This was Tim March's Macomb Martial Arts.
I remember Tim March.
Yeah, he had his school in Universal Mall back in the day. So that's where I started at. And then I went to Jamil after that. And then I went to Mash Gym and changed after that. So, but this is the most consistent that I've been, so my whole time. So I was happy to find. I don't care that I got a white belt. I got 4 stripes. It ain't easy getting 4 stripes. It ain't easy being consistent. It ain't easy starting jiu-jitsu. You get little, especially as you get older, man, you get little injuries here and there, your ankle bothering you, your knee, your shoulder, whatever. So yeah, I got a 4th stripe and I'm happy to have my 4th stripe, and I'm just enjoying the journey, man, because, like I said, like by the time I'm at your level, a black belt, I'm gonna be damn near 60 years old, So then, even though I'm wishing for a black belt, then I'm gonna be wishing for my youth, So you guys gotta take your time and just enjoy the journey and enjoy where you're at now, no matter what martial arts that you're in. Just enjoy the journey and enjoy the learning, man. But that kind of leads into my first topic. So, actually, my second topic. My first topic is this. How important to you are jiu-jitsu seminars or jiu-jitsu tournaments? Like, do you think that's a priority for a student, that they should go to tournaments and seminars? Or, because you think about this, Isaiah, most kids, I don't know about adults, but I'm assuming adults, I guess it kind of depends on your school, but most karate people don't go to tournaments.
Right.
You like the percentage of your students that go to tournament is probably what, maybe 10%, maybe?
Yeah, maybe
10%. So we don't look at karate seminars and karate tournaments as a necessity. So, but what about jiu-jitsu? How important is it for people to attend those?
I remember being very frustrated back when I was a white belt. And by the way, for those who are listening who are not a part of jiu-jitsu, the stripe is very different, earning a stripe in jiu-jitsu than it is karate. And that's not to take anything away from it, but I mean, like, it's just to get a stripe is almost the equivalent of moving to a whole different belt, you know what I mean, in martial arts. So like 4 stripes would almost be 2 to 3 belts, in karate. It takes that much time. It's traditional. It took me over 3.5 years to get my blue belt, which would be 4 stripes and then testing again. And then it took me about 4.5 years in karate to get my black belt. So that gives you some idea where it's almost taking you the time that you would move from a white belt to a black belt just to move to your first belt, move through all 4 stripes and move to your first belt. I do like the academies that give out the stripes. Some of them don't believe in it. They're just like, just when some of them, they don't do stripes at all. They're just like, I'm gonna just give him the blue belt when he's ready for the blue belt. And then that sucks because, again, when you're starting late, when you're starting as an adult, I don't care who you are, whether you're a kid or you're an adult, you like to see progress. I like to know that I'm on the right path. The stripes let me know that I'm learning at a healthy pace. I'm moving through the ranks like I'm supposed to. The belt, I've always said, in what's around your waist is a reflection of what your instructor thinks about you. So rather than you happen to ask your instructor, what do you think about me as a student? What do you think about my progress and my understanding? I can look around my waist and I can see this is what my instructor thinks about me, or the knowledge that I've attained and things like that. So it is a big deal for those who are listening, who aren't familiar with it, to get 4 stripes on the white belt, especially when you're an adult, especially when you have a job, especially when you have a family, especially when you're running the school. That level of commitment, is a lot. So again, kudos and congrats to you on that. Thanks, as relates to your question, when I was coming up, it was big. It was like, and it's still that way, unfortunately. And jiu-jitsu and we talked about this before, they're starting to actually get a decent curriculum, not a universal one, but a curriculum to whereas the tournaments aren't really, a standard. Like they almost were a measuring standard for somebody's understanding and application of jiu-jitsu back in the day. Because most schools didn't have curriculums, it's just like, okay, well, we teach a set of moves. Let's see how much he understands it. So they would then have a seminar where they would bring in a black belt to do this seminar, and they would bring in a group of different other schools, and then everybody at the end, after working some technique, would roll and drill against each other, and the instructors would then kind of look and evaluate you there. And then if you couldn't make it to seminar, or if you didn't promote it to seminar, then it was the tournaments. And it's like, oh, they went to a tournament, and they did well. They won their division. And, I believe they have an understanding of jiu-jitsu. So I'm going to move them to another stripe or another belt or whatever, another degree or whatever the case is. I think that it's important. I don't think it should be a measuring stick or a standard. I've had students who never was interested in competing at all. No matter how much I pushed them in jiu-jitsu, it just wasn't their thing. And for various reasons. And I don't think that it should impede somebody's growth or ability to be able to move forward. I do think that maybe I can understand being a black belt now and having trained as many years, and obviously stand up as well as jiu-jitsu. I can understand giving a nod to somebody who's competing, who's going to seminars to be able to further their knowledge, and they're using it. You're seeing their application. But back in the day, it was more like almost a requirement, Hey, Chris, how are you? Good to see you as well, man. Miss you, brother. Yeah, but it was like a requirement. Like, it was like, okay, well, they're not going to tournaments, they're not going to seminars, and it's like, but they're coming to class though. They're working, they're coming to class, they're training, they're paying monthly tuition, they're doing everything that's being asked, they're learning the technique. After class, at the end of the class, they're rolling with everybody. That doesn't count for anything. So to answer your question, if it's a standard as far as advancement, I don't like that. I think that the curriculum should be strong enough and in place to where a person should be able to go through the curriculum, learn like they're supposed to at a healthy pace, and be able to move towards that goal of blue belt, purple, brown, black belt, whatever. But giving a nod to somebody, who is training all the time to go out and compete and represent their academy and show against different people, different skill levels, different, people from different academies, win or lose, getting out there competing. I'm definitely going to look at that person, give a nod to them. People are going to seminars. They're paying additional money, going above and beyond just coming to class and paying tuition. And they're learning and bringing back this knowledge with them, to share with their classmates and friends and stuff like that. I do think that's important. And I will say this before I turn it back over to you. I don't like stuff like the IBJJF, this thing that they have. I can't stand it. I've never liked it. As a result, I've never wanted to be a part of the federation, because you're not going to run my school for me. And that's what you're doing. When you're telling me that somebody wins a division one year and they can't come back as that same belt and compete in that division again the next year.
See, I don't know any of that, because I've never been to the tournament. So what is that?
So if you compete as a white belt and you win the whole thing, right? You can't come back the next year as a white belt and compete. You can't compete as a white belt again.
But see, that's crazy.
This is why,
what if you're still a white belt? Like, what do you do?
This is why you see people. But how long did you just say it took you to get 4 stripes on your white belt? So what if the IBJJ event is my first or second tournament, right? So I just started. It's my first or second tournament. It's a weak division, and I win the whole thing. But I plan on going again next year to compete as well. But if it takes me 2 years to get 4 stripes and 3 years to get a blue belt, then you are essentially telling my instructor, well, you need to promote this, brother. And you will see people do it on the stand, on the podium. They'll walk up and they'll hand the person the next belt, because they're like, well, you can't compete at this rank anymore. That doesn't see stuff like that. I don't agree with. And because guess what? What if I'm a Division I wrestler? I'm a Division I wrestler and I won by points. I didn't win by submission. Right? It's as stupid as when we watch UFC and we see MMA and we'll see somebody win by knockout, right? And then their instructor walk up to him afterwards and put a jiu-jitsu black belt around their waist. I'm like, what did you give him a black belt for? He knocked him out.
Right.
Now, unless you just wanted to give it on this grand stage, this is something you guys already discussed. He already knew it. You wanted to do it in front of the world. I get that. But you can't force me because I'm winning a tournament. Maybe I was a Division I wrestler. I won every one of my match by takedown, right? And I went to the finals, won by takedown or advantage, and that's it. Haven't shown any jiu-jitsu, haven't won by chokes, arm bars, haven't escaped the guard, so it is important. I think that the same way it's important in traditional martial arts to be able to actually have that application is important. I believe the seminars give insight and technical details that oftentimes instructors and professors don't give in class. So if I'm looking to give a nod to somebody as far as maybe a leg up and maybe an earlier promotion, that's fine. But I don't agree with it being a standard in order for advancement and growth.
You know what? We're going to have to talk more about the IBJJF because I didn't know that. I mean, that's crazy. Because so what would a person do in that situation? Like you said, like they would have to move their student up. But if you move them from a white belt to a blue belt, they might not be ready to be the blue belt yet.
What if I'm a brown belt and I competed? I have to get a black belt because I won a tournament?
Now, see that, and I know they definitely will make you wait to get a black belt. It might be time for you to be a black belt, and they still won't give you the black belt.
Won the tournament. I won the tournament. You have to give it to me. I won. I can't go back next year and compete.
Yeah.
I can't compete at this again. You have to give me the black belt. I won.
Yeah.
There was 2 guys in my division, and I won by takedown. I won by advantage. I almost passed his guard. 2 guys, and that. So, but I'm a black belt now, though.
That's right? Crazy.
I didn't have to take the test like everybody. Crazy. That's crazy. Stop.
Now, did you get a chance to watch UFC BJJ either 1 or 2?
No.
Okay. So with them, they have a 10-point must system. So it's not about the advantage or points or anything like that. It's the rounds are 10-9 or 10-8 or whatever. Do you like that idea better?
What if somebody got submitted?
Then that person won. Yeah, then it's over. Okay. Yeah.
Right. I do. I do and I don't. The points are very specific. You've been awarded it for like whatever. Like I passed the guard. I got my 2 points for passing. Mm-hmm. I know what it was. I know why I got the points. The referee has to be held accountable for giving me my points for that. It's on the board as a competitor. I can look up and I can see it. So I understand where I'm at. If I'm losing, I can be like, okay, he got that guard pass. If he called something he wasn't supposed to, I got my coaches over there that can sit there and argue that point. It's reviewable. It's cut and dry, right? It's like saying that we're gonna, it's like trying to run a point round under continuous rules. Like people then would have to remember every point that I scored. That's why we have point versus we have continuous. But there are some lackluster matches where there really isn't very much going on, where there's somebody they're not achieving a clean takedown. There isn't, any passes, any positions gained where there's points. At that point in time, I think that it could be a hybrid. I think that you can give points when there's points to give, but in situations where there were no points to be awarded, the 10-9 must system would be able to come into place, because at that point in time, you'd have to, as a judge, be watching objectively to make sure that you're paying attention to who you feel is controlling the match more and who's more aggressive. So I think that you can do both. I don't think that you should have to choose.
Now, do you think that by having the 10-point must system, that forces competitors to really go for the submission more and not just trying to go for the advantage? Because you really don't know. You know MMA. You could think somebody's winning in MMA and they don't win, because of what the judges see. So do you think that forces the 2 players to go for more submissions and keeps the action going a little bit more?
This is why I love the ADCC rules, where they had the first 10 minutes would be just open, like you're just attacking, or I'm sorry, like the first 5 minutes would be just attacking. And then after that, they will call for points. And it's like after 5 minutes, like no points for the first 5 minutes for the first half of it. And then after that, they're like points. And then at that point in time, you can go, because the first 5 minutes, it doesn't care. I don't care. And for me, depending upon what submission I like, I might be okay giving up a position, but I wouldn't do that if there was points on the line. So like I like leg locks. So that means that I got to be on bottom. So that means that I might not have a problem. And I might just want to get to the floor. You know what I mean? Like I might shoot an Eminari, which that ain't my thing. That's my son's. I'm too old to be trying to do an Eminari right now. Right. But let's for the sake of an example. Like I try to shoot an Eminari, pull guard or something. Somebody gets on top of me and pass. I go to half. I do like an X guard type of sweep thing where I could throw the leg around, catch, but I would have, in a traditional setting, I might have given up 4 points. Now it's just like, oh, you down 4 points. Come on, man, you gotta go. And I'm like, so that's in the back of my head. I'm like, man, I'm trying to set something up here. I don't really care about the position at that much as me getting to where I want to be. So I love the format that they have for that, because I think that will force people to be more aggressive. The 10-9 mud system, I think that you're going to see more aggressiveness, but not from a necessarily attacking standpoint. Like, you will see more people shoving, pushing, trying to shoot in like hard feints for a takedown, for a double. It'll look more aggressive, but I don't think that from a technical perspective, from an actual jiu-jitsu perspective, that it would make that much of a difference. And then we put in a lot of stake in these judges having a really good memory, because again, without there being points, how can I remember if he nearly passed the guard and I'm watching a 5 or 10 minute match? How can I remember if he had him in trouble, or who has somebody in the most trouble? When I'm awarding points in that moment, then I don't have to remember it, because I've given the point, and the point on the board is proof that you did something. And at the end, all I got to do is look at the points being tallied up. But if I got to try to store everything up here, it's like asking a person to watch 10 forms. You know what I mean? And you're not giving them a pen or paper at all to write anything down. And then at the end, you're like, okay, who was in this place? Who was in this place? It's like, I watched 10 people. I watched 10 forms. Like, I wasn't able to write anything down. I'm just trying to store it in my head. You're going to get some people that's going to get it wrong. Right. So I have mixed feelings about it. I think that in those stand-up wars where nobody's attaining position, I think that philosophy and thought process is good, and it will get a little bit more aggressive interaction from the players. But I believe that you just got to let jiu-jitsu be jiu-jitsu. And people at some point in time, we're going to have to stop trying to find ways to put it on steroids to try to get to the masses, and just let the people who enjoy the activity enjoy it.
I think that's what they're trying to go for. They're trying to get more people, the people who like MMA, I should say watch MMA. They want to try and get them to start watching some more of the jiu-jitsu matches. And I think that's what they were going for with that. We'll see if that happens or not. Who knows? But I think what they're going to have to keep doing is, if the UFC is going to really try and blow it up and grow, they're going to have to come up with something. Well, they did have a reality show, a jiu-jitsu reality show. They're going to have to start doing more of that. I think that helps if you let people get attracted to different people's personalities, and you got your favorites, you got people you don't like, you want to see them lose. I think that's what really helps.
I ain't watching it.
At least their show.
Yeah, I ain't watching it. I ain't watching it. If I'm not in jiu-jitsu, I'm not watching it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So you're not really getting fresh eyes on it. Listen, man, I can watch somebody slap people's face on television. I can watch guys actually punch and kick. I'm not going to sit there and watch 8 people be put in a house, or 16 people in a house, and then dudes start talking crazy to each other, like after they have, 5 or 6 drinks, and then all of a sudden they go in the backyard, and then somebody pull a guard, in the backyard, and these guys start grappling and trying to pass the guard. And they're like, come on, man, y'all got to chill out, man, with all that rolling back there, man. Like, no, come on, man, you can't make that interesting. You just can't do it.
Well,
right?
But
I can know your personality all day, but the minute you start pulling X guard and Delahibas, I'm like, look, man, come on, man, just fight. Just hit him in his face.
Most of these producers on these reality shows are going to stir up drama. They're going to create stuff. I don't think I think the worst stuff is created by producers. That happens on those type of shows. I think they will come up with something. They'll find a way to do it, I think, if they're going to continue with it. But
yeah, it's weird because they act like they don't want them to fight, but then the first thing they show is the liquor cabinet.
Yeah.
And it somehow stays stocked. They can't leave out and go to the store at all. But yet and still, every episode, there's fresh liquor right in the area in the liquor cabinet, and they just keep it stocked up. You know what I mean? It's just like, man, it's like that best of the best too. When they would throw the weapons in between rounds. That's what they're doing. Take some gin. Here's some tequila. You know what I mean? Like, just we'll let the cameras roll. It'll unfold on its own at some point. Let's keep the liquor flowing.
Let me ask you this question. So, we were talking about the time with the belts. So, like I said, I've been a white belt for 2 years now. And I got my 4th stripe. And now, certain schools, every school has their own way of promoting people and how long you are at that belt, right? I'm assuming based upon the people I've spoken to, at least at my academy, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, it could take you about a year and a half to get to be a blue belt. But that's if you, I'm assuming that's for people who are coming all of the time to do it in that short amount of time. Like you have to have a serious level of dedication. I mean, I'm talking about like, you know, you're probably in college or 16, 17 years old without too many responsibilities, and you're able to train that much. And that's your life. Like how it was for me when I was a kid in karate. Like I was at my uncle's school 6 days a week, you know, because that's just what we did. That's just, you know, that was just how we grew up. But to you, how long should people be at each belt? You know, because I've talked to people, and for the most part, this is what I've heard. White belts, you're typically a white belt for maybe anywhere from a year and a half to 2.5 years as a white belt. Blue belt, probably 2.5 to 3 years. Purple belt, probably around 3 years. But purple belt, it starts getting funny because sometimes some professors or your instructors, the owner of the school, they don't want to necessarily promote you to brown belt, or they can't promote you to brown belt. And then for when you're a brown belt, I heard about a year and a half, and then black belt. So typically, if you have nothing else going on with your life, I heard that you can get to be a black belt within 8 to 10 years or so. You know, breaking down each belt. What do you think about that?
So the pretty much the standard, healthy and the known standard is about 10 years from white belt to black belt. I remember when I first joined, I went my first class. You know, my instructor Montes Peterson was a friend of mine, turned instructor. Good friends with Tyrone, and you know, him and I were just talking the other day, and we're talking about Tyrone. But yeah, first class I got whooped up on, and I was like, "How long does it take to get a black belt?" And he was like, "About 10 years." And I was like, "Well, this is day one." And I never looked back. He wasn't even a black belt at the time; he's a purple belt. So he had already been eight or 9 years in, and the brown belt wasn't even in sight for him, you know, at that point in time. So I think that the assessment, the timeline is pretty accurate that you kind of gave. Let me ask you this question before I get deeper into it. Are you familiar with or have you heard of Lloyd Irvin?
Lloyd Irvin. I have. I don't know where I've heard his name before. I think I might. Did he write a book?
So Lloyd Irvin back in the day used to have those take those like advertisements inside of like Black Belt magazine and all this other type of stuff. Get your black belt, get your jiu-jitsu black belt in 6 years, get your blue belt in six months, you know, or 1 year. Get your
black belt in 4 years. Somebody was talking about this guy in a book or something, I think.
Yeah. Go ahead, his thing was to debunk how long it should take a traditional person to get a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And he was going around boasting that he was giving out his blue belts in 6 months, purple belts in 2 years, black belts in 3 to 6 years or 4 to 6 years. And eventually, originally, people thought he was crazy. Like I said, he would have the advertisements in the Black Belt magazine, you know, with the little pictures and stuff. People thought this dude was off his rocker. Well, is he a brother?
Is he a brother?
Yeah, he's a brother.
Yeah, I've seen his videos. He had videos on YouTube. Something else happened with the guy. I can't think of what it is, but it was a video on YouTube. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, so he wanted to go against the standard of what like the traditional timeline it took. He eventually built a really big stable of jiu-jitsu players and practitioners, and people talk junk like, well, what kind of quality are these people going to be? Well, he started putting them out there, and they were actually legit. Then he developed the MMA program, and his people were going out there competing in MMA at the highest level, and they were doing well. I don't know him. I've never met him. I've seen some stuff that he's done. He's been around forever now. But back at the beginning, when I was first starting jiu-jitsu, I remember seeing these little advertisements, and he would talk crazy about, you know, people. I got blue belts in 6 months that eat up, and just really was over the top putting this stuff out there, but teaching obviously a quality brand from what it would appear. So I'm saying I brought his name up to say that there are some people that can work outside of the parameters of what tradition, you know, dictates. I think that now that jiu-jitsu is a lot more mainstream in that it is not more accessible than it used to be. We had a discussion one of the podcasts not long ago where I told you when I first started, there was not any videos at all. Like I had to learn from, I had to study from books. I would go each week to Borders and buy the new Gracie book, you know, which were amazing with the pictures in there, and try to find the stuff that we worked on in class in the books, and then reinforce the details that my professor was teaching me and stuff like that. But now, like you said, I saw him on YouTube. Like you can go on YouTube, you can go. So I think that we can cut that timeline down a bit now because of the fact that it's more accessible, there's more available, it's more popularized, it's more mainstream. But I think to answer your question more directly, that's going to depend on the level of growth and maturity that happens through the white belt phase to blue belt. Mm-hmm. You know, if that's the longest amount of time that you take, and in that time you have things broken down step by step, and people are learning really strong fundamentals, by the time they get blue belt, they'll be a pretty solid blue belt. And then blue belt is the belt that you start learning how to put the individual things together that you learned. So when you're white belt, you're learning everything. Here's the cross choke. Here's the half choke. Here's the arm bar. You know, here's the not the Leo. This is the red choke. Here's the, Kimura. Here's the Americana. Now, when you're blue belt, it's like, okay, you went for the Americana, the guy straightened his arm. Go for a straight arm, like he bent his arm. Now go for the Kimura. Then I learn all the setups. That way I'm able to, when I turn purple belt, I'm a strong fighter. At that point in time, it can become very subjective at that point in time, because we talked about how dangerous the purple belts are nowadays. Mm-hmm. Some of them they're black belt eaters, man, or at least, going after them. So like if you're at that purple belt level and then you out there with the brown belts every day training, and you giving them fits or the black belts fits, or you start tapping folks, all over the place, that timeline past blue belt can really change based on your activity, your involvement, and how strong your fundamental core and understanding is of jiu-jitsu past that point. Some people, man, like the way they see things in the middle of a match is crazy to me. I'm like, I would have never saw that. My son's a great example of it. I tell him all the time, I'm like, you better than I could have ever been as far as this application go. Man, he'll be rolling, he'll see some stuff. I'm like, I didn't see that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really sure how you saw that. And that's what makes jiu-jitsu interesting. That's the reason why nerds are the most dangerous people. You see that guy take them glasses off, you got that little thing in the middle, you take them glasses off, put on the side of the match, you're like, oh boy. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be the most analytical, dangerous brother, that I've probably went against today, right?
You talking about Mikey? What's his name? Mikey Muskesi?
I was just talking about in general. It's not a person specifically. Okay, I'm just saying in general. But no, I think that if you spend a lot of time at the white belt level developing a student, and then you do a good job of teaching them how to combine the things with the blue belt level, then we could be talking about maybe shaving 2 years off of this thing. 7.5, 8 years seems plausible. Anything under that, I just don't see a person really being developed fully.
That's gonna be it. But that's gonna be our next topic that we're gonna get into in just a second. But I want to touch on something that you said real quick. Now, from what I've read, like I've really, I've turned into Richard Plowden when it comes to this jiu-jitsu stuff, because I'm reading and studying and I'm learning about so many different people. And that's how my uncle is about sport karate, especially when he got started. So I read that a lot of times, a lot of the old school guys in the 80s and even maybe even in the 90s, they were taking 40 half-an-hour sessions, private sessions from white belt to blue belt, and they got their blue belt within 40 sessions. So, but then at that time, there's not a lot of people around, right? Now, over time, especially in the 90s and 2000s, jiu-jitsu really, really exploded here in America. So, but by that happening, you have more people who are pushing the skills forward. So, a blue belt now is not the same as a blue belt that was 30 or 40 years ago. The blue belts now is way more dangerous, I'm assuming, than someone who just had 40 half-an-hour sessions. So if that continues to happen, wouldn't that push the time further for someone who is looking to become a black belt? Because now a blue belt is probably a blue belt now is probably has the same skill level that a purple belt might have had 30 or 40 years ago. So then the purple belts, I mean, and that's if you're going to be judging yourself compared to other people in tournaments and seminars. Because you might get a purple belt and you might technically earn a purple belt, but if all the other purple belts are way better than you, are you going to really feel like a purple belt?
This is tough. This is kind of challenging for a few reasons. Mm-hmm. One, we have to understand and account for that there's possibilities that people come in with a certain type of skill set naturally to begin with, where somebody else does not. This would move the needle in the timeline, I think, as well. Mm-hmm. It's something I explained to somebody a while ago. I don't remember if it was explained to me or if it's something that I came up with. I can't remember because I've used this a very long time in traditional martial arts to explain to a parent who might look at a child. And we're going to all have those parents and say, I don't understand. My kid look at my kid. You've seen my kid. Like my kid, they're able to do their form. Like they can do Kicho too. And they're doing a great job. And this kid, he barely understands how to do Kicho 1 or whatever. Why are they both yellow belts? Why do they both first stripe yellow belts? Like my kid knows another form. They're further ahead. Or maybe just the way my child's technique looks better than, I'm not trying to say anything negative about this kid, but it's clear that based on the eye test that my child should be further along than this child. And here's what I have to explain to them. When you come in, if you look at like one of those scales, you know what I mean, where it goes from 0 to 10, and then it goes from -0 to 10, you know, like those little arrows that have the notches on there, right? So if I look at this from a scale where there's an arrow and there starts zeros in the middle and it has up to 10 going forward, and then it has -1 to 10 going backwards. This is the scale that I have. You have to understand of where your child was versus where this child was when they came in. So the truth of the matter is your child is probably the same level as the other child because they took the same amount of steps. So it doesn't look like it, but you don't know what this child looked like when they came in. So whereas your child might have started from 0, right? And then your child made 3 progressive steps moving forward. So they're at a 3 now. So I've given them a yellow belt with the stripe because they did a great job moving 3 steps forward. But this kid didn't come in as a 0. Maybe this kid has some issues. Maybe they have autism. Maybe they just aren't athletic. They aren't talented. They have ADHD. I don't know. They came in at a -3. So they made 3 steps forward too. So now they're at 0. So they are where your child came in at. But your child has made 3 steps forward. So they both made 3 steps. So I have to award them the same thing I did your child because they both moved the same amount of steps in a particular direction, even though they don't look the same. This is important to your point because of the fact that, like you're going to have purple belts. I've had some people that didn't compete. So that go back to my competition thing earlier that just did not look good. You know what I mean? Like they were not great, but they had been training. They've been coming to class for years, you know, so they're a purple belt. They earned it. I tested them. They demonstrated the knowledge. But if I put them up against the other purple belt that come to tournament, they'll go to tournament, compete or whatever else, he'll eat them alive. If you sit on the side and you watch him, you're like, how is he a purple belt? And he's a purple belt. But hey, guess what? The other one who's talented, he don't come to class that much. He only want to come when there's tournaments. He only want to like compete. He's in and out. He's not here all the time. This guy, he's here all the time though. You know what I mean? So yeah. He might be more talented. He also was a Division I wrestler. He's also 5 years younger than the other guy, so he's got the youth on his side. He also played football. He also, did karate. This guy, he's just, he's 5 years older than this person. He's not athletic. He's never done anything. He'll try to die before he quits in class. He comes 2 days, 3 days a week. He rolls behind, after every session. He gets handed to him every time, but he never quits and gives up. He brings his family here. So. Again, to your point, it's going to be tough because no blue belts are the same. They're not built the same. Different people come in at different skill levels with different attributes and different applications. And that's what makes jiu-jitsu so interesting is that, like I talked about, like with my son and some of the other people, the way that they see and process the information, I can give them the same moves. And the way they process it is so interesting how they can create this this whole web of understanding, which is why people get addicted to it. Karate isn't so much like that. Like, yeah, you're gonna learn the sidekick, roundhouse, back fist, reverse punch. And yeah, like we put it together a little bit different, but not so much though. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe I understand how to break somebody's rhythm a little bit more. I understand angles a little bit. I have a good hard fake. I'm a powerful blitzer. I have amazing flexibility for the kicks, but everything is just going to look the same. One person is just going to be a little bit better at being able to apply it, but it'll, for the most part, the blueprint looks similar or the same. Right. That's why it looks like they're playing a game out there, because it's two different people doing the same thing. Just one person is clearly doing it better. You know what I mean? Jiu-Jitsu is not like that. So you're going to see different level blue belts from what you saw back in the day. What I will say and give the nod to the people back in the day that I like, and this is being an old head, an old school guy myself, I believe that we were much more fundamentally sound. I don't think that the fundamentals are as important to people now as learning the moves, the flash, and all these new techniques and concepts that they're coming up with, the flow jiu-jitsu type of perspective. I believe that back in the day we were more about pressure, we were more about fundamentals, and we had more about the basics, the position before submission type of fundamental jiu-jitsu was much more appreciated and embraced back then than it is now.
Okay. All right, let's move on to our next topic, which ties into what we were just talking about, belt time. Are you familiar with Derek Moneyberg?
No.
Okay. So Derek Moneyberg, that is not his real name. Okay. That is not this guy's real name.
What an introduction.
This guy's real name is Dale something. This guy is a person who he sells stuff online. He sells
snake oil.
Yeah. You know what, man? I'm trying not to for Martial Arts Center Network to get sued or anything like this. Supposedly, apparently, this guy is a wealthy person who he used to sell and do seminars teaching men how to talk to women. That's what this guy did, right? Not only he has other things also like that he used to sell. Like he used to sell these tutorials on how to do this stuff, right? Well, anyway, so he's supposedly he's wealthy. He got his jiu-jitsu black belt in 3.5 years. Now, I must tell you, the person who gave him his black belt is Jake Shields. This guy does not go to an academy. He built a room in his house that he does jiu-jitsu. And he flies top MMA fighters to his house to train him for 3 or 4 days. So he's had Gordon Ryan, he's had Jake Shields, he's had Chuck Liddell, Glover Teixeira, Lyoto Machida. He's had a bunch. I think Anderson Silva too. I think he's had a bunch of MMA guys come to his house. If you get a chance, look him up on YouTube, because he got his black belt in July. People are killing him all over the internet because it's like there's no way. And he put out videos of himself working with his instructors. He's not training with another person like him, a student. It's just him. He's rolling with socks on. He's rolling with black socks on. Derek, look him up. Derek Moneyberg. Everybody look him up. Just type it in YouTube. You're going to see a whole bunch of videos about this guy. And now they're actually coming out defending. They're saying, which I don't believe, but they are saying that he worked hard and he trains every day for 4 hours a day. All of the people who are, I'm specifically saying Gordon Ryan and Jake Shields. They said that he trains 4 hours a day.
Well, first of all, I know Jake Shields. My son rode against him a couple times and trained alongside him. He's good friends with Dewey. So he would come to the gym. He's worked with a couple of the fighters and worked in cornering them. So I don't know him like we hung out. Like, hey man, it's Jake. Like if he saw me, like, hey bro, like no. But we've been in the same company, and I've spoken to him, and he's working with my son, giving advice, stuff like that. So I haven't been to the gym in a while. One of my fighters is injured, and some other stuff's going on. I've been traveling back and forth, getting the school set up. So if I go back, whenever I start going back, it was supposed to be this week coming up, but we'll see. But when I start going back, if I see him and run into him, I'll definitely ask him about it. And I'm sure
he's probably gonna roll his eyes because everybody's been talking about it, and he's been defending it. And so basically, people are saying like he had to have paid a lot of money.
Let me say this real quick, and I know at least one, maybe two people. If I had to say, like, they paid for their black belt, yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing. It happens. And it happens.
That you know what, man? I hate to cut you off. That is the most ridiculous thing in the world, to pay for a black belt, because your skills are going to tell on you if you did not earn it. Because like this is not like karate. Jiu-Jitsu is not like karate. You can tell if a person is truly. Actually, you can tell if somebody's really not a black belt or not. Also, there's some people who are just not good at it. I'm trying to be nice. Some people just aren't, athletic. Yeah. But they went through their curriculum and they got their black belt. Jiu-Jitsu is different. You can tell if
it's a proving art. It's a proving art.
You can tell if somebody is truly a black belt or not. I would not want to pay someone. Let's say if I had $200,000 and I wanted to pay somebody to give me a black belt, and now so I can walk around saying I'm a black belt. People are going to want you to roll with them, and you can only say no for so long.
Yeah,
because then somebody's going to call your bluff. I mean, come on. I mean, you gotta prove yourself.
When you have a certain type of status, and you use the word that he's got a lot of money, he's rich. You need to be able to be in certain circles, and certain circles you can't be in unless people feel that you're at least legit, so that you have to have that title. I was talking to somebody recently about how it used to be back in the day, like when there was black belts talking, like if you were underbelt, you couldn't even be present. It was like when you was a kid coming up and your parent would say, "Hey, listen, it's grown folks talking. Go in the back, go sit over at the kids' table, whatever else." And without being disrespectful, this was understood in the martial arts. Like, we don't fraternize with people who are under ranks. Like, it's fine. It's like not like you're a bad person or we better than you or holier than thou. We can float, walk on water, and fly. But this is something. It's a fraternity. It's a brotherhood that's earned, and these individuals I know have earned it. And then everybody else, you're working towards that goal. You're working to be at this table. You're working for a seat at this table. This is the other side of it, and that's what makes it exciting, right? Same thing, like I said, I use the word fraternity. Same thing with fraternity. Fraternity is like, they might be the coolest people on earth, but you ain't no alpha. Like, hey, listen, man, you got to pledge. You know what I'm saying? You got to go through the hazing. You got to go through everything else. I'm still cool. We can still be friends, but we can't interact on that level because these are my frat brothers over here. These are people that will live and die for, alpha or whatever the thing is that, whatever fraternity we're talking about or you're part of. So I think to get a seat at the table, people are willing to take that risk, and they just think that they can say no for long enough and they can get away with it. And with social media, you can make something appear to be anything. All I need is those people to be at my house with some mats. All I need is to cut my phone on and record, post it on TikTok, post it on Instagram, and just be consistent and faithful with doing that over a course of time. And then it's going to be ingrained in people's head. Oh no, that dude jiu-jitsu, I see him all the time. That dude to do a couple moves and he cut the camera off. You know what I mean? And he posted, and then you think that this dude is actually, legitimately doing jiu-jitsu. 3.5 years is an insane amount of time. I don't care how many privates you get. I don't care what your skill level is coming in. That ain't even a year of belt. That's not even a year of belt. That's not even 6 months of belt. That's like maybe 6 months of belt. White, started white belt, blue, purple, brown, black. So we're talking about, I mean, come on, man. It doesn't equate. Like, that would have to be your full-time job. You would literally have to wake up in the morning and train 5, 6, 7 hours a day, roll all the time, compete in every tournament, do every seminar, you know what I mean? And just and be a phenom. BJ Penn, they were talking about back in the day. I think they say he got his black belt in some ridiculous amount of time.
3 years.
4 years, 6 years. How long was it?
3 years.
3 years. 3 years. I mean, and back then I was like, stupid. I don't believe it. And you want to know why? Because he competed all the time. So that go back to the first topic that we had. What does that have to do with it? What does that have to do with anything? So what? You compete all the time. Do you know 6 guard passes? Do you understand how to play? Like, no, and we don't know that he did because of what we saw in MMA, because he started getting smoked towards the end. His jiu-jitsu really wasn't all that good. In my opinion, his jiu-jitsu was never that good. It was just that he was so far ahead of everybody else because he got it on the ground floor and people hadn't caught that curve yet. And then when he started fighting people who were more advanced and understood and were more technical and did get their black belt in 3 years, he started having difficult time with it. So that's an unheard of timeline. There's no way it can happen. And that's nothing but somebody paying for it.
Well,
anytime you can convince people to pay you to learn how to talk to girls, I'm sure it's no problem paying somebody to be able to get a black belt. I mean, pay me to teach you how to talk to some girls. That's fine. This is nonsense. Are you serious? If you can convince grown men to pay to get you to learn how to talk to girls, and I do understand there's some confidence issues out here, is real. If you pay money for it, I ain't talking about you, so I ain't making fun of you. I'm talking about his ability to be able to convince somebody of something like that openly and create wealth and a fortune from it. He obviously has a good mouthpiece. He's a great orator. He knows how to talk his way into situations. It wouldn't surprise me that he talked his way into purchasing the black belt, but there's no way you earn the black belt in 3.5 years. Not even Jake Shield earned his in 3.5 years. Please stop it. That's bullcrap.
And Sean Strickland said something to him about it. Sean Strickland was in the same place as him and kind of walked up and confronted him about it. And they had some words with each other. And he posted that online. I'm going to send you this stuff. I'm going to let you do a deep dive into this guy, man. Okay. Me and you are probably going to go back and forth this week once you look at these videos, man. Because
I look forward to it.
It's ridiculous. All right, let's move on to the professor's perspective. Here we go.
All right, so this right here is a mount escape that I really like. Brian's on top. He's going for a choke. This can be done with or without the gi. It obviously works better without the gi because you don't have all that friction, to stop you, but you can do it either way. Now, I'm doing an escape where a person posts the leg. So right now, Brian's attempted to go for a half choke. You'll see this a lot of times where people will post the leg so they can work on being able to pull the person's lapel up off the ground, from the mount position that is, and work on getting their hand deep. It's hard to get that hand deep in behind the neck without some type of leverage. So if people try to pull you straight up with both knees on the ground in the mount position, it's tough. So just naturally, a lot of times people will stand one of the legs up while they're trying to get the hand in deep to get control and go for a submission. So when this happens, what's important is that you dig both arms in at the same time. And what I demonstrated, and you probably saw it, is when I put one arm in, he just dropped his knee. And when he dropped his knee, it trapped me. And that's where people are able to go for arm bars. They're able to set up topside triangles and things of that nature. So what's important is that you get both arms in at the same time for this. So I'll turn towards the posted leg, and I'm going to dig, as you can see, both arms in at the same time. So watch what happens. If he posts his leg and I just put one arm in, then get ready to put the other one in, once he starts to drop that knee, I'm trapped. And if it's MMA, you're in a whole lot of trouble because you can't defend with both arms. All right, and then on top of it, look in jiu-jitsu, he's already advanced into the armbar position, topside triangle, or whatever. So it's important that when I get on my side, so the first thing I want to do is bump my hips up and turn towards the posted leg. All right, and the minute that I do that, I'm going to dig both arms in at the same time. Once they're both in, I'm going to do another bump. So I'm going to I'm going to bump one more time where his legs, the posted leg goes towards my head. And as that happens, I'm going to go belly down, I'm going to spin out, and then I can just turn to my knees and take his back. Okay. All right, so that's a really good move where people post the leg. People do it so often and so frequently, they don't even really notice that they're doing it, especially at the beginner level. Because, again, if I'm trying to get that cross choke or that half choke from the mount position with both knees down, if I just put my hands in, it's going to be too shallow. My fingertips are going to hit the mat. I'm not going to get deep enough to put an effective choke on a person. So when I want to lift up, and I try to lift up, but I'm on both knees, it just doesn't feel natural. But when I stand the leg up to post it, now I have some leverage to pull the person up so I can get that hand deep. In that moment, that's when I want to go for that move. Turn towards the posted leg. All right, dig both arms in at the same time. Make sure that you bridge that leg towards the head. roll and go belly down, and then I can grab the ankle, and from there I can advance to the back. I believe this is a very safe and effective way. That's my perspective of escaping the position. When somebody stands the leg up, just make sure that you don't put one arm in at a time. Otherwise, they may trap you. Make sure you put both arms in at the same time. Great way to escape the mount when it posts the leg from the mount. That's my perspective.
Nice. How long did it take you before you got that? Did you do that as a white belt yourself, or did you learn that over time?
I learned that over time, and I was pissed because I learned a lot of valuable stuff over time that I look back and I'm like, man, this was super simple. Like, you kept this from me, and you saw me struggling, and you knew this move all this time, and you didn't. Oh, and he'd be like, oh, I forgot about it. Oh, I thought you knew, or something like that. Or let's wait until Kaiki comes into town and charges $110. You know what I mean? And then we'll give it to you at the seminar. You know what I mean? Come to the seminar. That's when we'll teach you real effective ways of escaping positions. It's like, bro, you could have came up with this a long time ago. So no, I learned it probably when I was closer to purple, I want to say. So yeah, I was getting whooped on for some time before I learned this simple thing. But it's extremely effective, and I love it because I try to teach moves, obviously, unless it's a gi choke or something like that, that you can do, you know, in gi or without gi, right? So that way it's not like that's a no gi move. No, that's a gi move. That's no, listen, it's an escape. You know what I mean? So I like it because I can do it with or without the gi. Easier and more effective without the gi because obviously you see the nature of it. I can be a little bit more slippery, but it works either way.
Sweet. All right, man. That's our show for this week. You got any closing remarks or anything?
No, man. Send me this Derek
money
bag stuff so I can I might have to get one of those seminars myself, man, to find out how to talk to the women. Like, I might have to take the course.
He says I've gone and listened to his podcast. You know, because he's defending himself. Like, dude, there's so many videos out that have come out this last summer, because he has been defending himself and defending his belt. And it's crazy, man. And when people come on to his podcast, he gives them a rash guard to wear with his face on it. And this guy is a character. This guy is truly a character.
Hey, but what did they say? No bad publicity, right? No bad publicity.
I wonder how
it's
many.
All free.
I wonder how many of his sales things have he sold since all of this publicity had come out.
Bad publicity, good publicity. It's all publicity, and it's free. The more dogmatic I am about it, and the more I double down on it, the more even hateful comments are still comments. So it's going to keep me trending. It's going to keep me in the algorithm. My name's going to pop up. Like, the more absurd, you'll get further being absurd and ridiculous and doubling down on it than you would by just being honest, sincere, and thoughtful. Nobody cares about that. We want controversial.
Somebody asked him, how come he didn't just go to an academy and train? And he said he didn't want to just train with an average jiu-jitsu instructor, an average black belt. He wanted to train with the best of the best. And that's why
if you got the money, why not?
People,
you know what I mean? But still, that timeline just don't add up.
I don't care who you are. I don't think your instructor is truly going to roll with you as hard as a classmate, somebody who was also training with you. Because I know, man, when me and Ski were kids, you wouldn't have thought we were close friends the way we used to fight with each other. But it helped make us better. So if me and him are banging with each other, hard at the academy, the people at the tournament ain't got a chance with us, because this is just how we fight, So but my uncle, like, when I was a kid, he wasn't going to fight me the same way that he might have been sparring against Jeff Gears or Anthony Price. He's not going to hit 14, 15-year-old me. I would hope he's not hitting 14 or 15-year-old me the same way he's going to hit one of his boys,
I sparred with him one time. One time I sprawled with him. He surprised us all. I showed up. He had his gear on, and I was just like, "What?" Oh, I sprawled with him one time.
Oh, so you didn't get the good gear.
No. I got that one good day. I tell you that. You know what I mean? I sprawled with him one time. Yep. Right. So definitely memorable.
Cool. All right, everybody. Stay safe, stay strong. We'll holler at you next week, and I'm going to end this stream.
Peace.